Welcome back to my channel for a long-awaited Leica episode, and this video is about the finally arrived 21mm Super-APO-SUMMICRON-SL lens widest open f2.0. It's a totally minimalistic but absolutely terrific lens. If you look in the sample images later on, I've shot this lens intensely on my Leica SL2 over the weekend, and the results are mind-blowing. Really cool what this lens can achieve. This is very likely the best 21mm lens I've ever shot in my whole life. Let's kick off the video. Let's start with the design. As I just mentioned, this is a totally minimalistic design. There are no control elements on that lens, and that's something we know from Leica SL lenses. It's a full metal construction, the lens hood is a full metal construction, and the weight is substantial. It's 839 grams if you count in the lens hood. 21mm gives you a pretty wide field of view, and the view angle in the diagonal direction is 91.7 degrees. So you can use this lens, for instance, to capture an image of a room if you're standing in the corner. And that's of course very nice. The optical construction is complex. We talk about 14 lenses in 11 groups, and there are 3 aspherical surfaces integrated in the optical construction of that lens. We have a focus range from 0.21 meter to infinity, so this lens is also good for close-up shots because the largest scale or maximum reproduction ratio is 1 divided by 5.3, so close to 20%. Really something you can appreciate if you go close, for instance, to plants, to insects, you know, even to people. That will give you a very interesting view in the outcome of the images. Widest open aperture you can shoot on that lens is an f2.0, and you can stop this down all the way to f22. The filter thread is 67mm, so filters will not be overly expensive. We are not talking about 82 or more millimeter here. And by the way, also the autofocus is super snappy in combination with the autofocus system of the SL2. So let's bring Jennifer a little bit to the left hand side here. And I went here for eye, face, body detection. And I want to show you how this looks like if I shoot that lens. It jumps immediately to Jennifer's face. It indicates the eyes. You know from my various tutorials, you can also toggle between the left hand and the right hand side eye. And I can get actually pretty close to Jennifer and it will still focus. Have a look here, still here. And look at how this will render the background now at widest open f2.0. Let me take the shot. Let's get Jennifer a bit to a distance. And look at that. This is super sharp, first of all. If you look here, very sharp, and that's actually an experience I had over the weekend with all the shots. I had absolutely no fails. Most of them are keepers. I like them, and everything is super sharp, but the background bokeh is super smooth, super soft, and super blurry, and that is something I will appreciate going forward. As I said, very likely the best 21mm lens I ever shot in my whole life. The product number at Leica, and that's something people sometimes want to know, is 11181. And this lens just came to market. It was actually in the air and kind of announced a long time ago, but it took them, in the same way as they still work on delivering all the Leica Q3s, which have people ordered on the waiting list, took them a long time to deliver that lens to the market. But now it's here. I was so happy to shoot it. Let's go straight away into sample images. I want to show them. I was walking through Zurich at daytime, nighttime. I was only handhold shooting that camera, no tripod, and you will see how fantastic this camera works with in-body image stabilization in combination with that 21mm lens. And that is something I would not have expected, that I'm able to shoot 1 second handhold at nighttime with this camera lens combo. So let's go straight into it, and then let me make a few concluding remarks and wrapping up the video. Alright, of course I want to show you more details in these images and not just provide a slideshow as I just did, because you want to get very sure more data points about the image quality. And I started my photo tour here at Bahnhofstraße in Zurich, and we have here nice stone pillars which I use very often for people photography and portraits. It's just a very nice architecture here. And if I crop in here by 100%, you see how sharp this is. This is, by the way, the largest bank in Switzerland, UBS, and you see every detail in these images. And that will continue throughout all the images I'm going to show you. So I was walking Bahnhofstraße. You see here the very wide field of view. As I said before in the specifications, it's more than 90 degrees in the diagonal, which you have on that lens. So that gives you a very nice perspective for street photography, for architecture, for cityscapes, but also for close-ups, as I will show in a moment. Here, Augustinergasse, again, a lot of details in the image. Let me quickly crop in here. So you see the structure of the stones here. Absolutely amazing. This is maybe one of the sharpest Leica lenses I ever have shot in the Leica universe across all of the systems. And maybe that's the reason why Leica took so long to develop that lens and finally bring it to market. I don't know, but clearly the optical performance, and I mentioned the optical construction before, which is quite complex, is really speaking for that lens here. Walking through Zurich, enjoying the early evening here. Somewhere already lights on, but we will later see how I did shoot handhold without a tripod night scenes with a 1-second exposure, which really excited me about that lens. Here again you see the wide field of view you have with more than 90 degrees. River Limmat and the buildings on each side of the river. Very nice. So here is a close-up shot. And that was shot at f2.0, so widest open, ISO 100 and 1/250 seconds exposure. And you see how pleasant, how wonderfully smooth that background blurriness is here. Look at that. Nicely rendered. And if you use that close-up distance, you can actually get very nice shots, as I will show in the next image. Here I just wanted to show, if I crop in here by 100% to that sticker, you see even the structure of that printed paper here. And again, that speaks for the level of detail that lens camera combo can capture. Next image here, that's also at about the same location as when I showed that sticker on the image before. And if you look here, you see how shallow the depth of field is. Let me crop in. You see this is sharp here, but all the rest, and you see the shallow depth of field here, is blurry. And the background blurriness, as I mentioned before, is very, very pleasant. That looks really good to me and is something of the best I've ever seen on a lens. Here I think we can crop in again, show you the level of detail. Look at that. So many details in that image, and clearly 47 megapixel in the sensor of the Leica SL2. Plus a very sharp lens creates a lot of details in images. So that looks really good to me. I continued my walk here through Zurich, over the bridges. So here we have the other part of the city, which is on the other side of the Limmat. And again, you get here a lot of details. So here, for instance, and that's why this lens is so great for street photography, you capture a lot of information in one single scene. And here you see a family having dinner. You can read everything on that poster here, and they are just enjoying their time. Here is another one here. Look at that guy here with, headphones and just looking into his phone, very likely. But the level of detail and the sharpness, the crispiness, the clear character of the image is just mind-blowing here. Let's continue our walk here. Here you see people walking in the street. Okay, that's fine. Let's continue. This is one of the most famous cafeterias in Zurich. It's called Coffee Schober, and inside you get a very nice old-fashioned, old-school interior, which you will enjoy, and a very rich menu. So if you make it to Zurich once in a while, please go to that cafeteria and select something from the menu, because it's very good. You see here on these signs a lot of details again, very nicely rendered, that particular scene. A lot of small alleys in the old part of Zurich, of course. And I can continue. This is in a church, was shot at an ISO of 1000, widest open at f2.0, 1/40 seconds. And here you see nicely the colored windows. Someone here taking photos with a smartphone. Very nice, very good image, and absolutely no noise. Look at that. It looks really good. The Leica SL2 is such a good camera, and I'm so much looking forward to the Leica SL3, which very likely will hit the market next year. And clearly that lens on the Leica SL3 with further improved, I don't know, specifications, sensor, what have you, in-body image stabilization will be a pleasure to shoot. I'm so sure about that. Here you have backlight, and then you get a little bit of lens flare here. Look at that. You see it here and here. but that doesn't disturb me. Here another scene with backlight. The sun was just behind the building here. It was before the evening kicked in, a little bit hazy on that day. And nevertheless, you get all the details here if you look into these images. Also at the traffic signs, by the way, here. Look at that. Everything is clean, clear, crisp. Looks very, very good. Moving on here, we have a lot of details in this image. You see here people walking. That's why this lens is so great for street photography, because you capture a scene and you capture a certain moment. That moment will never come back. You know, it's one particular moment on the arrow of time, but you have everything captured in your image. And that is so nice. It's something that always fascinates me on photography, that you capture a certain moment which never will come back, but you have it on your image. Here is a close-up shot of a leaf. We have clearly fall season here, and you see how nicely the details are rendered, but also how shallow the depth of field is. Again, this was shot at f2.0 with an ISO of 100. If you have your aperture widest open, and even in the early evening, you can shoot this with an ISO of 100. No problem at all. Here, a large church. That's actually the Großmünster main entrance here. And then a lot of street images again here, Cucina. You know, we have here another close-up of a bubble tea. That's a shop which you can find in the other part of the old city of Zurich if you go across River Limmat. And you see this is nicely sharp, but you see also the smooth background blurriness here. Very nice, because there are more bubble teas here, but they are so nicely rendered by that lens widest open at f2.0 that it is just a pleasure to shoot and later look into these images. We are getting later in the evening. The lights are turned on in different parts of the city, and you see here how this is nicely done. Let's crop in here by 100%, and you see these people are enjoying the evening. It's getting darker, but the city has a lot of lights, so you will never be in the complete dark. And this is a night shot here, 1/40 seconds, f2.0, and an ISO of 4000. If I crop in here by 100%, you see the noise level of the Leica SL2 in Lightroom with noise reduction can be very well controlled, and you nevertheless have all the details. There is no smudginess going on in these images. It's really good how this image is rendered. I like a lot what I'm seeing here. And we continue our tour here. That's the next one I wanted to show, because I said before, I had no tripod with me. I was shooting handhold every single image. And this is now a 1-second exposure, widest open at f2.0, ISO 100, because it's widest open and I allowed for 1-second exposure. It's the Blue Hour in Zurich. And you see here very nicely how this worked with in-body image stabilization and a wide-angle lens of 21mm. You don't need a tripod. And look at the level of detail you get here. This is absolutely clear, clean, and crisp. There's nothing to complain. So if you shoot with that camera lens combo, the SL2 and the 21mm Super-APO-Summicron, then you don't need a tripod. Just leave it at home, spare you with the burden of additional luggage, and just enjoy shooting that camera lens combo. Another image here at 1 second across River Limmat in Zurich. You see here the moon in the night sky. It's a half moon actually, the reflection of the moon in the water. And this image also looks very good. No fuzziness, no blurriness. 1 second at f2.0, widest open of this 21mm Super-APO-Summicron lens. Here we continue. That's an impressive shot, I think. Again at 1 second, f2.0, ISO 100. And if I crop in here by 100%, you see how sharp this is. Look at that. Look at that sign here on the building. That's the Canton Police in Zurich. Look at the graffiti at the stones here. Everything is so clear, so well rendered, that this is very likely the best camera lens combo I ever shot in the more wide angle space of 21mm in my whole life. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely mind-blowing what's going on here. Let's continue. This is another shot here from a small alley. It's actually in parallel to River Limmat, and I was walking there. And this is an image I like in particular because here you even see the stars in the night sky. Look at that. How nice is that? The stars are rendered. It's a 1 second exposure, widest open f2.0, ISO 100. The focus was sitting on the buildings in the background. They are super crisp and super sharp. There's nothing to complain. Here are the universities in Zurich. And the only thing you have here, of course, because I did shoot this widest open at f2.0, this lamp here is not really sharp, or the bottle here in the foreground is a bit blurry, but I was focusing on the background and wanted the buildings in the background to be sharp, and that clearly worked here. Look at the bridge, absolutely nice. Here you see a Campari sign here, very nice, and the night sky with the stars is also in the image. I love a lot how this lens is working, collaborating with the Leica SL2 and the in-body image stabilization. Finally, I ended my tour at where I started off, namely at these stone pillars here, where I do a lot of people shootings typically. In the background again, UBS, Switzerland's largest bank. Everything here is sharp, clean and crisp. And this lens is really mind-blowing. This lens is a must-have if you are in street photography, in landscape, in cityscapes, what have you, whatever you want to do in a wide angle setup. This is the lens to go for if you're an SL2 or SL2S shooter. Okay, that's all I wanted to say and show. I hope you enjoyed these sample images. I had this time more sample images than usual, but I wanted to show you what this lens on the Leica SL2 is capable of. And if you are a proud owner of a Leica SL2 and you are in landscape, architecture or street photography, I can tell you this lens is a must-have lens, because I've never seen a 21mm, let's call it a more extreme wide-angle lens that performs as well as the new Leica Super-APO-SUMMICRON-SL 21mm aspherical lens. If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel, there's always more to come. Thanks for watching, stay safe and healthy, and of course, peace out.